Right guys, so it is golf lesson time. This is pretty much my first lesson for a hell of a long time. And this is Dan Whittaker, who's going to be my golf coach. I'm super excited about this because last year went for the Quest for the Open, the 2016 model, and failed quite miserably at the end, at the hurdle. And a lot of it I would quantify to be the fact that I kind of neglected my own swing and felt like the more I played, the better I would get. And what is crazy about that idea is I am a golf coach. That's what I do. That's what I do. And the fact that I just completely neglected the idea of having golf lessons and the importance of golf lessons completely slipped my idea. I thought the more I practiced, the more I played, the more I worked on my own golf swing, that would help. The problem with that is looking at your own golf swing is you can be very biased. Yeah. Can't you? You can almost,
completely.
You know, you don't see the top players in the world analysing their own golf swing.
No, and they do know a lot about their own game.
They know so much. They know so much about their own game, but they don't stand there with a video camera working on their own thing unless they've been instructed by a golf professional, golf coach. You look at all the top players in the world, they all have golf coaches. And that rang true to me. I went to the Open on one of the practice days on the Tuesday. Maybe 15, 20 tour players practicing, probably 10, 15 golf coaches in the region helping these guys. And that's just on the driving range. You've got your putting coaches, your short game coaches. If you followed my progress last year, you would have seen I had putting coaching with Lee Sullivan. But now I'm going to put my golf swing in the capable hands of Dan. Because what Dan was really nice, after the Open qualifying at the 20th of June, Dan messaged me almost a day after and said, "Rick, love what you did. Can I help?" Because you saw the journey of what was happening.
I've really admired the fact that, you kind of documented it all online. I thought it was a really brave thing to do because, if it had gone well, everyone would have said, "Oh, well, I'm sure you're practicing all the time, so you should be able to do it." But if you didn't, then you have people who are going to jump on the bandwagon and say, "Oh, what were you doing? What a stupid thing to do." I thought it was a really brave thing to do, and I admired it. So that's why I got in touch and said that to you.
And that's really nice because I've had some, I don't want to get into too much politics, but I've had some messages from other pros that have not been anywhere near as nice as Dan's messages. So it was lovely to get some reach out from Dan and to actually him say, "Listen, I want to work on your swing." So Dan is based at his new facility here at High Legh. If you want to see a bit more of the facility, that's going to be in episode 3. There was a bit in episode 2 of the Quest for the Open, but it's going to be episode 3 this Saturday to see a little bit more behind the scenes. But what we've gone through today is 3 pieces of technology that's helped improve my game. Not just, we've done swing analysis, we've done TrackMan data, and we've done the MySwing 3D system.
Yes.
Which you've got the only one in the country, haven't you? Or the only one in Europe.
Basically, there's 10 of us in the world that they gave it to begin with, and they made us ambassadors for it. And I've helped them develop a few bits within maybe the software and ideas that I like to see.
So can you ever talk with those guys to get an 11th one over here? Because the system is class. After being on it today, it's class.
It's really good, isn't it?
Really good. I was so impressed with some of the numbers. Like, again, have a look at the behind the scenes of the vlog coming this Saturday, because it's a load of sensors that go around your body. How many do you know?
There are 18 sensors and one on the shaft.
So 18 sensors that go certain positions around your body, then one on the shaft, even one on the hat. And then we map that on the avatar system with using the sensors so it knows where all the monsters are. And the sensors literally come up as every time I move, that's what the sensors came up.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, Dan, that's kind of enough of me chatting. It's now your bit to tell everyone what we've worked on in my swing today. So I've had a 2.5-hour golf lesson today with Dan, a little bit of catch up about what we're going to do, and then we got involved in the swing.
So the first thing we did is kind of lay out a bit of a plan going forward, because I think it's really important to actually get the plan in place. So obviously got Rick's initial data, so we had a look on the video, had a look on the 3D, had a look on the TrackMan, piece it all together and then put an idea of what is actually happening within the game, and then make some notes up here on the whiteboard as I'm going along, because if there's quite a bit going on, I tend to maybe forget bits, or just so I've got a nice chronological order.
What I quite liked about the way that Dan did it today, we went through processes. We didn't really give much information regarding what I was currently doing in my swing. We took it from the base of today and said, how can we move it from today's golf swing into a golf swing that is more consistent, that hits straighter ball flights, that hits more consistent golf shots, because that's what I'm aiming for. I'm sick of these overdraws, I'm sick of these pushes. And then once Dan had gone through all this data, he almost put like a shopping list of things that we need to go through and tick. I'm going to look at having sessions with Dan every 2 weeks, sometimes even weekly, of how we can progress this. So hopefully you're going to enjoy all these lessons as well. And just again to show and push the importance of bloody golf lessons.
Yeah.
How I forgot it, I just don't know. Right, should we have a look, Dan?
Definitely.
What we changed and what we tweaked.
So, original footage right here. So, this is the front view of the swing and the down the line first shots that you hit. So, setup was good. We were pretty happy with that. And maybe a little bit towards the toes. Maybe, and we've discussed maybe just a little bit more stability and strength in the glutes.
Yeah.
Which look at a few exercises for that. But first move away was pretty good away from the golf ball here. But what tends to happen is from down the line is set of the golf club just goes a little bit underneath the forearm here. So it's a little bit shallow for you at this point, but with quite a steep shoulder angle.
So what I was kind of getting from that position then is already starting to put it out of sync, which was making it trickier as we move into the swing, wasn't it?
Absolutely. So the balance of the arms and the club are kind of out of sequence to one another. So from here, what we then got is as you're getting towards the top of the backswing, your upper body was tilting a lot, which was really pulling the club quite steep. The right elbow was getting out of position quite a lot. And then when we have a look at it from the front here, as we get towards the top of the backswing, what we were seeing is that the upper back was tending to extend a little bit in this direction here. So as we see it now extending, and those arms then got up. So this is quite a key bit that we looked at, is that the arms are very high, but they're actually quite narrow. So the width would be between the hands and the head right here. This is pretty narrow, and the arms are essentially behind the body.
Yeah.
So what we did is we pulled up the 3D right here.
So all those black sensors you would have seen just on me there, they were all the sensors that was linked to this MySwing 3D system. So this is now the avatar of that actual golf swing. So you'll see it in a little bit more detail here now. So
the first angle we've got right here is the spine at address. It's 4 degrees away from the target at address, so that's really good. And what we saw is as the backswing progressed, we could see that it was massively moving towards the target. Yeah. So at the top of the backswing here, it's now moved from 4 degrees away to 8 degrees towards. So it's obviously differential of 12 degrees towards the target. So what we saw is the graphs are where all the details are, but it's a lot easier to kind of show it on the avatar for simplicity.
What was really nice with looking at this data today is that as a golf coach, Dan can throw this information at me and I can, to a degree understand it and get the gist of it. We're keeping it as simple as we can because obviously the knowledge of golf swings spread across everyone that's watching this video will be different. So keeping it very simple on the avatar is what we're trying to look at today, so this computerized system. But on the graph you can see on the right there about my rib cage and my sway and my thrust, they were all very relevant in the way that I learned this information to improve it effectively.
Yeah, I'd agree big time. I mean, this number here of the sway was a big one. Okay, we could see that what was happening is that the upper body was essentially moving, 3.4 degrees towards the target in the backswing. Yeah. Obviously, that's not a great thing.
So slightly tilting to the left. Is that the right description?
100%, yeah. And then obviously, because of that, the thrust would be lift up and down. So we're tending to see that you'd be lifting a lot more than we want to do. So that would be on the pink line. Now, big bit for us was that what this tended to do, because obviously you guys will have seen that Rick tends to sometimes get the club to drop under plane a little bit more.
It's very nice. Very nice way of saying it there, Dan. I do drop it way under plane. I get way inside, as I'm sure a lot of you have seen. And that's when I hit those big draws, or I push it, or I tend to hook it.
So what's going to be happening is, because of the way that the back's working, okay, this bit here is called lead arm adduction. Basically what that is if I just pull the number up onto the screen here and just take off the side tilt, what you can see is this number equates to the left arm across the body. So imagine my shoulders are here, it's just essentially bringing my left arm straight across. So what we see is that Rick's number was changing from 36, 35 at the top to narrowing down to 24, so it's changing to nearly 12 degrees.
So my left arm was effectively pushing closer to my chest as I was coming down. It was close already, but it was pushing even harder to my chest coming down. And I always know when I've hit lots of golf shots, because not being vulgar, but my left nipple actually starts to hurt. You know, it kind of, I feel like I'm pushing against it. And that shows in that enormously because
Big
of that
time.
fact, wasn't it?
Big time. And, you know, when you said that to me, it was highlighted so massively in those numbers. We'll have a look now on the video. What we saw is, obviously, because the left arm's quite steep here at the top of the backswing, okay, what we then saw is that with it being so steep and the elbow being so far away, and then obviously the left arm tightens, causes the club to drop down a long way in this direction.
Because as tall as that left arm was, it can only go one way. If that left arm is straight up, it can only really drop down and behind.
Absolutely.
Where in my mindset, because I know I can change the numbers on FlightScope or TrackMan or GC2, is my intention was to try and get that arm up higher so that I wouldn't come as so far from the inside. But unfortunately, that was because I was looking more at the numbers and not my swing. Which again, it's so interesting, isn't it? Because we look at golf coaching as a whole now, and the swing analysis, the GC, the launch monitor data, now the 3D system, is you've got to have that family of information, certainly two of the three of them, to sync all back up.
Absolutely.
Because if you just go video analysis, we wouldn't know about the abduction and the extension, etc. If we didn't have the launch monitors, we wouldn't know about the path numbers and the face relationship. But without the swing analysis, sometimes that loses the idea of what our swing, the identity of swing starts to look like.
Absolutely.
Because I would say I would have coached myself more on numbers rather than visuals. But it's nice to get the visuals, the data, and the launch numbers all together in one place.
Because Rick and I spoke and said that what we're going to do is we're going to use the video and then 3D. So we're used to looking at 2D as the video. And we're going to use the 3D to give us the data and then see how that looks in the 2D, so then when Rick's practicing knows what to look for, and then see what numbers they give us. Because if we get the technique right, the numbers are going to automatically start to get better.
And believe me, they have. Wait till you see what happens in a bit. They've really improved. So,
you know, they've changed a massive amount. So we'll just have a quick look here originally on the front view. So we'd see that the left arm was just pinning against the body too much. A little bit flat-footed through the ball, and then because of this, the club was always getting a bit more down the line because the club was a lot more in to out. Obviously, what we've done is we've put a bit of a plan together over here, but this is essentially exactly what we've worked at this week.
So just on that as well, it was nowhere near as in to out than what we would have potentially measured maybe 10 days ago. I've personally been working on my in to out swing and kind of manipulating the numbers slightly further to the left. So these numbers were only measuring at like 2 or 3 degrees from the inside, but they were taking place by me feeling movements that potentially weren't tangible changes that could be consistent and predictable moving into the future.
Yes.
And that's what we've done now.
Absolutely.
We've made that more predictable in the way that they've moved now.
Yeah, absolutely. So now what we've got is got the new one on the left, the older one on the right. Now what we'll see is...
Wait till you see this. It's class.
The changes, so you can see.
So that's before.
Before. This is.
There's a little training aid in there as well, which we'll tell you about.
Okay, so that's now starting down there. So that's the top right here. So you can see there's a lot more width between the hands and the head. Okay, upper back's behind the golf ball a lot more. Okay, what else we've got is a byproduct of this left knee isn't coming in quite as much.
Just take a couple of lines and circles on them, just so we can see what, we can highlight what we're talking about as well. So left knee for me was always an issue. My left knee has always come inwards. And that's a lot to do with the fact that the upper body gets that tilted position to the left.
Because once that upper body tilts to the left, what it's doing is it's causing the knee to collapse inwards and then put more pressure through that knee and therefore lose even more height.
Correct, yeah. So just take the right hand image just to the top there, Dan. There we go. That's a nice image.
So you can see a huge difference right there.
It's enormous. And not just visual. We actually saw 3D data difference as well and swing path number differences to a degree, which were measurable and consistent. Something that I've lacked, consistency.
So we're just going to bring the 3D in. So here's the new one on the 3D. So we've labelled them all up. So this one said, felt good.
Felt good.
Great.
Felt great. I was going to say, I did feel great. and you'll see a couple of big changes here now.
So this was just one. We'll just use this number whilst we've got it on the screen here. This is the lead arm adduction one.
How close it was getting to my chest.
So we could see that number's only changing from 44 to 35. So rather than the 12, it's 9. So that's a lot.
Was it not? What was it before? Was it 36 coming down to 24?
Yes.
So it's coming down like 12 or so, and now it's only coming down. Well,
9.
It's now wider in the first place, and
yeah.
then staying consistently wider on the way down. That's the arm away from my nipple.
Yeah. So if the arm's behind your head here, it's going to be narrower. If it's wider, so the number was bigger at the top, which is a great thing. We're both really pleased with that. Okay, so this was.
So then I could turn down more effectively instead of trying to change my left arm positioning too much.
Absolutely. So this is the rib cage movement. So what we could see is if we just pull that up to full screen just as a moment. Okay, so at the top before, we were seeing that was a 3.4.
3.4 of my upper body tilted to the left.
So now we can see that's down at 1.5.
So I've halved my upper body tilt to the left. We would like to bring that down even tiny bit lower. Yeah, but it's not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because obviously, where the sensor isn't the point that you can't get a 0 on it. Okay.
Oh yeah, you said that. Sorry,
yeah, where it is, we want to get it maybe down to like 1.2, but that's really, really good. Yeah. You know, that's already making a massive difference to what we were seeing with everything.
And just to give a feedback on that, the feel for me was that I was still staying stable with my lower body, because what we measured was the pelvis was very good, but my upper body was going to the left. What I felt like I was doing is trying to get my shoulder almost behind the ball, almost trying to get the visual of my shoulder sitting slightly behind the ball, which for me, with my aggressive into-out swing path in the past, would have scared me, because I would have felt like I would have hit the ball fat. Now that my path numbers have neutralised, I don't hit the ball fat, which is great. To be fair, I've never hit the ball fat because of the way that I sway onto the left side, which was something we talked about. We might not talk about it now, but I would move too far into my left side. Where now, because I can move my shoulder to the right of the ball and I can rotate better, when I come down, my path isn't anywhere near as inside, so I'm not fearful of fatting the ball.
Yeah.
Hopefully that makes sense.
And then this was one of the first things I showed, we had a quick look at on the 3D. So we could see here, it was 4 away to start with, and I think it went to, was it 6 or 8?
Yes, it went to 8 the other way.
Okay, so now it's only going to 2. Okay?
It started at 4, went to 2.
From 3 to 2.
Okay,
so 5. So it's gone 5 instead of 12.
Yeah,
so that's a massive difference.
Upper body tilt has reduced an enormous amount.
So obviously we'd like that to get a little bit better, but we've got a couple of drills that we're going to work at to change that.
And some strengthening methods as well.
Absolutely. So then what we've got is we have a look at the TrackMan.
I still love that position at the top, by the way. Yes, this is the TrackMan data that what we were getting from. Was this is the last one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the last shot.
Where historically, I would, from when I've measured myself in the past, like say going back 10 days, 2 weeks ago, I was 6, 7, 8 degrees. You would have seen that in vlog number 1. I was really inside. I walked in today at maybe about 2 degrees to 3 degrees from the inside, because I've learned in a way of moving that club to the left, but not in an effective manner. It wasn't consistent enough. We now put the new swing on this technique, and the path number, so the angle that the club is moving into the golf ball away from dead straight, is 1.6 degrees from the inside, which is like heaven for me. And it's like perfect.
And you've gone from 6 down to 3.6.
So that's angle of attack. So as the club was moving down into the ball, I was 6 degrees on the way down and maybe 3, 4 degrees on the way inside. So I would hit these kind of big, powerful drawy shots, but they were just not consistent. Now I'm only 3.5 degrees on the way down and only 1.5 degrees on the inside. So the contact is more consistent, the ball flight is more consistent, and my strike, because I've not got a path that's moving too diagonally to the right, is more consistent in the ability for me to hit middle. That make sense?
Completely.
Is that well explained?
Very.
Okay. The thing is, this is what's so interesting. I'm a golf coach and I can understand everything that Dan says. There's been questions that have popped up about why did you not go and see Pete for coaching, or why did Pete, it's very different. Me and Pete, I've said this, I said it to you, we're like husband and wife. And I'm sure many of you out there have tried to teach your partner anything in life. It doesn't work. Also, we've not got the advantage of having the 3D system, which is great. It's really good. And also, what I like about the idea of Dan is that when Dan says something, we can have a discussion about it, we can have a chat about it. Dan works with an incredible amount of elite players, top performing players. That's what I'm interested in. That's what we're aiming for, which is what we need all these systems for.
Well, we just had a look here. This is the down the line. So what we did, we had a training aid on the right arm.
Just on that as well, look how different the posture is.
Yeah.
So before is on the right, after is on the left. This was something, Dan is a big fan of JJ Rivette as well, who I did some work with at the start of this year in May time. And when JJ had me on the fourth place, he was getting me to slightly move into the back of my foot better. Slightly more into this back of my foot, when normally I'd be on my toes. So Dan said, just get back into that position. So I'd kind of lost that position. So that's why the posture looks so much better.
And JJ Rivette is unbelievable on knowing the biomechanics through the feet and how the body's going to work and interact. And straight away when Rick got into that position, you moved better straight away.
100%.
So that really helped. Okay, so what we see here is...
You'll love this. Wait till you see this change.
We got...
That's before.
Before.
So big things to note there. Left arm is taller than my shoulder plane.
Yeah.
Right elbow is really outwards. Massive over rotation going on there, which was really causing me to get that left arm close to my chest, get it dropped in, because I couldn't go any higher than that.
And what we saw from there as well, that right elbow continues to lift. So you'll be able to see that up on the screen. If I just highlight that area right here, what you'll see is that it actually works up in this direction.
You see that, and that is just deadly. That is not good at all.
So that's obviously a bit of a killer.
Well, it can. The thing is, what I'm experiencing, what I've learned from Dan here today, is that from the top of the swing, there's too many moving parts. There's too many things that can change, and that is only highlighted when I really get under pressure. This is why I failed at qualifying last time, because when the pressure kicks in, this old swing was not capable of performing under that type of pressure.
Completely agree.
When down the left-hand side,
what we can then see is...
I love this. Love it.
It's set's better. Okay.
So managing to get the wrist set better, starting to get the club more through my right forearm.
And here's the huge bit. So this is the top right there.
Hello.
So that right elbow is a lot lower now. Okay, the club's so much more lined up. It's a huge difference in terms of the elbows. What we can actually see is if we draw a line across from the right elbow, we can see that they're at the same height here before. Now you can see it's a lot lower than the left, so that's going to mean it's going to be a lot easier to get that right elbow down, what I call in front of the body, so kind of working it down in this direction in the downswing. So this is a huge difference.
It's not the fact that it just makes pretty pictures. That's not what we're aiming for. We're aiming on the idea that now my elbow does not need to drop significantly. My left arm does not need to get any tighter to my chest. And it means now that I have less work to do on the top of the golf swing. And it's the swing on the left that produced the path that was 1.6 degrees from the inside.
Yeah.
Because things didn't need to change as much.
Nowhere near. And the thing is, because where they were before, you had to wait for the arms to drop down, and hitting it really hard, when you've got to wait for them to drop down, you've then got to time getting the club back out in front of you, so your hands are having to manipulate more than you want to, backing out away from the ball. So you've got lots of areas of timing, that there's probably about 4 or 5 of them on the go there, so at some point they're going to break down.
It's not, in fairness, and again I've said this so many times through this new series of quests for the Open. I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff anymore. This is not a case of, I failed so badly last time that I cannot afford to sugarcoat it. It was inconsistent. I knew that. And in my head, I thought the more I played, the better that would come. If anything, that consistency became worse because I started to then almost get used to the way that my arms are moving. Anything that then would upset that rhythm would just completely fail it. Completely fail the idea of it. So this now swing on the left-hand side feels to me more compact, feels to me more in a manner that I can actually just hit a more neutral path, much more neutral golf shots. There is a training aid thrown in there on the left-hand side at the moment, which is one I'm going to practice with. I'll include that in the vlog coming Saturday. It's a band that Dan's going to lend me, where it fastens to my belt. By the way, copyright is on Dan Whittaker for this. He's come up with this idea and he's going to make it one day and he's going to make him a millionaire. It had a strap to my bicep. It tacked to my left buckle belt strap, and then that way then my arm could not free up from my side, and it made the whole process a lot easier. Things I need to practice and work on.
Yeah, and then obviously sequencing down then properly, it starts to get the elbow to work a lot closer to where we want it to.
Just very quickly, just show that now difference between the downswing on the right and the downswing on the left. So watch on the right, how the elbow has to tuck, the arm has to drop in, the club gets behind me, I'm flat-footed, I work my arms, I roll, working too many factors into a straight shot. Watch on the left. I turn, the club drops a little bit behind, but only 1.5 degrees. The elbow's tighter, correct. And now I can really work moving my weight into my left heel. Just look at we've not even talked about the pressure plates.
Yeah.
On the right side here, how my trace, which is the mapping of the way my footwork works, is now moving aggressively into my left heel. That never used to happen before. I was getting far too much onto my left tiptoe.
You can see here as well the club face. If I just draw the leading edge. We've not even looked at this until right this second. So you have a look at that. It's nowhere near as shut down. Yeah. Okay. Club's coming out lower through your body.
Yeah.
Here. This is up here.
Yeah.
Okay. And as Rick was just saying there on that little bit of the pressure plate, what we'll do is just bring in original and end of the lesson swings. Now through the golf ball, here's where you'll see quite a big difference. So we can see on this one right here how it's really fighting through the golf ball and flat-footed and a little bit more flippy, only really getting into that heel right at the end of the follow-through. Whereas now, what we can see is that, see a wider backswing, we're seeing the left knee moving across earlier.
Because it's not so turned inwards.
Yeah, it's got somewhere that it can move to. And now, the weight is into that left heel, through the golf ball, and a lot more rotated through the end. Actually, another thing I hadn't really looked at until now either, which is just a byproduct of everything, upper body here is a bit more chased after it on the left-hand side. It's more behind the outside of your foot here. Correct.
And also, I really like the extra rotation I've got on the new swing now.
Yeah.
Actually turning through, which again, because of other factors, I had a bit of turn, I had a bit of sway, I had a bit of arm catch-up, I had a bit of hand involvement. Too many factors that were resulting in erratic shots. Where now on the right-hand side, that's more rotational. It doesn't have to be a sway. It doesn't have to have any hand action. I can turn through the golf ball in a much more consistent manner. It's just been awesome. It's been fantastic. It has been absolutely such a lovely thing to have a golf lesson again.
Yeah.
Golf lessons are great. I love having golf lessons. And the thing is, what I want to spread this message of is you're never, ever, ever too good to have golf lessons, ever. You never know enough information to have golf lessons. The best players in the world still have golf lessons. I'm proud and happy that I have to seek professional advice to help me with my swing. I'm proud of that. I don't care about that idea of it. If anything, it's the idea that you never stop learning. I've learned things today that I didn't know about the golf swing. I didn't know. Dan's learned a little bit about social media, about all the cameras that I use. It's all of that side of things. We never stop learning as human beings, as golfers, as sports people, as general life goes. And that is so important. And I think One of the things that I would, if I was to look back at last year and kick myself on, is I felt like I'd stopped learning what I was doing in my golf game. This is the new start. This is the whole new start of the way I hit the golf ball. I'm excited. I'm encouraged to practice these movements. I'm really happy with working with Dan. He's been a huge pleasure today. He explains things in such a way that makes complicated information simple. You actually have a tagline. What's it say on the outside of your door?
Understand the swing in its complexity to teach it in its simplicity.
And that is so true today. That's exactly what Dan has done. He's managed to take complex sections of golf swings and explain it in a way that was simplified, and that was for me as a golf coach to understand, and as people, as his students will understand as well. Right. Anything to add? Are we good?
I'm happy with it.
I think this video took longer than the lesson. No joking. But that's what's important about a lesson. It's important. Obviously, we're documenting this. The reason why I didn't do a lot of filming in the lesson is because I really want to concentrate. I really want to concentrate on improving. I want to tell you all about what's happened after the lesson. We'll do one of these after every lesson. It's not going to obviously take quite as this long next time. We want to see how it's improved between now and next week, or next time I see Dan. Obviously, I've got the birth of my child coming up very soon, so we have to kind of balance that a little bit.
It has to be factored in slightly.
Yeah, it kind of has to be done so. But I'm excited to come back and learn and work on my swing. I cannot wait to see how it goes. Guys, do me a favour. If you've enjoyed the video, click thumbs up. I'm also going to put a link into Dan's YouTube channel in the link below, and the I in the corner here is a link to Dan's channel. Dan has got a YouTube channel. Dan started his YouTube channel before even I did. I used to watch Dan's channel before I even started my own. Do me a favour, go and jump over to Dan's channel as well and subscribe. Thank you, do that right now. Comment below what do you think about the swing changes. Have these been impressive swing changes? Do you see the idea of having not just video analysis, launch monitor, but also 3D analysis? Would you be able to take it on board and learn from it? Or would you feel like it might blow your mind? I'd love to hear your thoughts. We'll try and get on there and do some answering of questions as well. You'll see Dan Whittaker's YouTube channel come up on there commenting. If you see him comment, just make sure you go and subscribe to him as well. Dan, that's been a huge pleasure.
Thank you.
We are currently booked in for next week. Hopefully, with all things going to plan, we're going to work on some pitching stuff next week. If the baby comes, we'll have to postpone that for the time being, but it means it gives me a little bit more time to practice this movement.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
I can't wait. Dan, pleasure.
Thank you very much, Rick.
Guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.